Well, what a topsy-turvy Christmas period it's been for Coventry City. Defensive lapses all over the shop. And that Norwich result, we'll get into it in a minute. We're going to talk about January targets. Is Milan on the move? And we're previewing the latest showdown with Sheffield Wednesday in this year's FA Cup. We've got Scott and Tom back with us this week. Thank you very much, of course, for joining us. We're very grateful for all the support we've received. Our target for our subscribers is now 250. Can you help us get there? Press the subscribe button. We are loving all the comments that we get, and thank you so much for all your support so far. Right, oh my goodness, guys, where do we start with Coventry City's
end the season?
Christmas results. Let's just bring them up on the screen for us all to kind of let's go back to Boxing Day first of all. I mean, Plymouth were awful, were they, Scott?
Dreadful, yes. Game was over by half-time mark, 4-0 up. They had a minimal offering for me in the first 45 minutes. We were okay. We weren't fantastic, in my opinion, to be honest, but it was that simple. It was 4-0, and the second half was game management. Don't get anybody injured, don't get anybody booked or anybody sent off, and, have a training session for 45 minutes, in my opinion. Yeah.
They themselves, that was one of the worst performance, worst 45 minutes they've seen as a fan base. And then fast forward then to Millwall. Now, Tom, you had a great Christmas period. I think you did the Plymouth game, didn't you? You went on a stadium tour, I believe, and then you were there the next day in Millwall. So you must have been buzzing for that Millwall game. Why didn't it lift off in the same way that you were expecting?
I was at the CBS 3 times that week, to be fair.
Live there.
Amazing. I might as well. The stadium tour was amazing, thank you. And then the Millwall game was boring. We saw that Plymouth performance and we were all thinking like, okay, this is it now. This is where we finally push up there. Playoff push second half of the season, just like our previous 2 seasons. The Millwall game, it's just how inconsistent we are again. It was so boring. Talking about it, I can't remember anything about it, because it was so boring. I genuinely want to talk about it, but I actually can't remember it. So I wish I could, but it was that boring.
Let's go to Cardiff then. You made the trip to Wales shortly then after that. Now, they were down to 10 men for a long period in that game, Scott, but you just couldn't make the numbers.
No,
the numbers count. What are we learning about Lampard and how he sets up away from home now? Because there's a few fans saying, look, he's not being too defensive minded. It's a little bit open. The wing players aren't doing what they should be. What have you made of it?
Yeah, I'm not as visionary as some people, I don't think, Mark. I can't see an awful lot of difference. One thing, I know he's only been here 5 minutes, but part of me expected the team to be a lot more motivated and inspired and up for it. Win, lose or draw, I thought they'd go out there, Big Frank in the changing room, and be up for it. He seems to want the ball out wide more than anything, but I think we're still a little bit too slow. That's probably being polite. We're just very, very slow at times. I mean, the Cardiff game, half time, we could have been 2 or 3 down. It was freezing cold there. I thought they had a nailed on penalty myself. I thought they were going to go 2 up at least, and could have gone 3 up. Half time, I think anybody just snap your hands off for a draw. Most people chatting were saying, let's get a draw. And then within 2 minutes, it's 1-1 and they're down to 10 men. We played better with 10 men, but we're not stretching teams, in my opinion. We're playing 10 men and it's still going across the back 4 a little bit too slow instead of stretching them. I can see we'll probably come on to Norwich next, but I thought he was playing possession-based football, which changed Saturday, in my opinion. We didn't knock the ball around the back at all at Norwich, which is different, in my opinion. But I can't see a massive amount changing at the moment, and it's whether he's getting to know his players or not. I'm not 100% sure, to be brutally honest, in terms of what he's trying to do at the moment.
Okay. We're going to come on to, at the end of the video, what players are needed. But, Tom, have you got over the Norwich result yet? I mean, that must be sickening.
No.
Was there a foul in the build-up to the goal, though?
This is the. I'm very on the fence about this because I know people watching are going to be very. I don't want to say anything and upset a few people. I'm on the fence because part of me thinks it is a foul, and it definitely looks like there's contact there. However, as a defender, I think he should be stronger there. And also what he could have done is just kick it into the crowd for a throw-in. Our players can reposition themselves and we probably wouldn't have lost the game. So it's a bit 50-50 for me. You've seen it get given, but sometimes you don't. So I'm very on the fence about that. But it's still sloppy and it takes the deflection in, and it's a story of our season and it's another loss. So it's just depressing.
Yeah, you just can't beat Norwich, can you? Either.
No.
It's
Preston.
Or Swansea.
Anyone really.
All right. I mean, joking aside, though, I mean, where do you see your season now being, Scott? Are you settled now? It's going to be somewhere between mid-table and 20th.
Yeah. I think mid-table is where I'm looking at. Better performances would be nice. Playoffs, not in my brain, and I don't think we are anywhere near the relegation level of some of the teams. So I think, depending on what he does in January, and we'll come on to that, we'll see what happens. But I think he's got a half-decent squad there. I'm roughly where we are, I think, for me, Mark, this season. And then build in the summer.
All right. Let's have a talk about January targets then. Any rumours, Tom? I mean, we're hearing that Milan might be on the move. We'll come on to that in a minute. But what about players coming in?
A few rumors. Oh, sorry, my voice there. A few rumors. There was I don't know how to say it. It's like Michael Helik. I think that's how you say it, from Huddersfield, if I'm not mistaken. Solid Polish international centre back who could be really good for us. But a lot of people saying it's a bit disappointing. He's a bit of a League One player. But apparently he's really good. So I wouldn't mind that. A big one for me is Rob Holding, which I think that's a massive rumour. I'm pretty sure he captained Arsenal at one point. He went to Palace, and I don't think he's actually played a game for Palace, has he? But I think that would be huge. And there's a lot of fans. It's very like a lot of people debating about it. People don't think it's good. I would be very happy about it. He's got some great experience. He's 29, if I'm not mistaken. So he's quite a older side of things. You know, he could bring in that experience. He could bring in that leadership that we're really crying out for. There was another rumour out there about this Hungarian fella in a centre mid. His name's like Thomas something. I've never heard of him, but people seem to be raving about him. So I'll take whatever at this point. But I think we do need a backup right back for Milan or a replacement if he does go. So it's going to be an exciting transfer window, I reckon. I really hope so.
Very busy, and Leeds
really
are sniffing around. Leeds are sniffing around some players as well. Sheaf has been mentioned by Stoke City as potentially
Haji Wright
a target for Mark Robbins. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't interrupt you there. Haji Wright with Leicester or Ipswich, I read yesterday. If he goes to Leicester, there's going to be like, that'll kick off. But, I mean, I don't want to lose Wright, but if the money's there, I don't see why not. But we've got to obviously replace him because the other strikers aren't scoring. So,
what about for you, Scott? Any names you'd want to see come in?
Well, I've heard about Holding as well, and a bit like Tommy's experience. Again, I don't think he's played much for Palace, but he would be, from an experience perspective, good to have at the back. And obviously, he's played Premiership football. Harry Darling, I think he's quite a useful player. I think he's at Swansea and either out of contract or available. And I think he looks very, very useful. I think he's late 20s as well, so we'd have a bit more experience there. I think the Hungarian guy, I think his name's Nikitsha. I think he plays left back in the Hungarian league and also for the national side. And from the bits I've seen of him, he looks great, but I don't know what the level of the opposition is like, if you know what I mean. And there's Wagner. I think Kai Wagner's been mentioned, who's a German player, played in the MLS. But I've looked at a few players. We played pre-season and we played against Spurs. There was a lad in the middle of the park called Lucas Bergvall, who was Swedish, big mop of blonde hair. Tall lad, strong lad. He's only 18. That's the problem, I guess. So midfield-wise, I wouldn't mind seeing. I'll see if I can pronounce his name now. I've written it down. Chak Vitadze. I think his name is at Watford.
Oh, Watford.
Giorgio Chak Vitadze, who plays for the Georgian national team. He looks very, very useful to me and might add a bit of bite into the middle of the park. So ideally, if we're looking at the middle, he would be the one to go for me.
Okay, some good names there from both of you. Thank you. Let us know in the comments any that you think they've potentially missed and what Coventry certainly need. One rumoured to be on the way out is, of course, Milan. Galatasaray, I think, rumoured to be pursuing him. Would that be a big miss, Tom?
Yeah. I mean, he's not been the same player this season as he was last season, definitely. But he's amazing for the dressing room because you could tell the lads all love him. And you could tell he loves being here. But I mean, he deserves a big move from the player we saw last season. There was rumours that he was homesick. I mean, obviously, it's not his home that he'd be going to if he goes to Galatasaray. But there was rumours that he was homesick or he might have been on his way out, and a lot of people think that's why he's not been performing. I thought he was actually really good in the Norwich game at the weekend, to be fair, and he got a goal. So he was rumoured to be leaving, and then he turned up. So that was nice. But I think if it's big money, I think I read like 8 or 9 million for him. I think that's solid for how he's been playing this season. I think that's really good. So I think he could be on his way out. But if we get money and we replace Wright, then fair enough. But I will miss him personally because I think he's a brilliant player to have. And his personality is great for the changing rooms. So he will be missed.
Okay. Thank you for that, both of you. Let's focus on what's to come then. The FA Cup is right around the corner ahead of recording this. It's another meeting with Sheffield Wednesday, Scott. They are not pleased about meeting you again. However, they have got a full crowd coming down for it. So it's gonna be a noisy one. Could you care less about the FA Cup this year, given your enjoyable journey last year?
Yeah, it was an enjoyable journey, wasn't it? 50-50 to be brutally honest. It's nice to have a cup run. It's nice to do well. But for me, personally, I think I'd be playing the players that haven't played much this season, to be brutally honest. Some of the guys up front haven't had a lot of minutes. Sims hasn't had a lot of minutes. I'd be playing him. I wouldn't want any injuries, wouldn't want any bookings, wouldn't want any yellow cards. If we win, we win. If we lose, we lose, is my sort of look at it, and see what happens. I think improving our performances in the Championship is more key for me. But yeah, it would be nice to win a game and see what happens in the next round. But I'm not massively enthused, or I won't be too upset as much as Norwich if we get beat, to be brutally honest.
We have a look at Coventry's history in the FA Cup in recent years. Then, of course, we all know about last year, but there's been some embarrassment for Coventry, hasn't there? In FA Cup. I mean,
that Wrexham game.
Scott, do you remember Worcester City, for example, in 2015? Obviously you mentioned Wrexham there as well. What do you think it is, Tom, about Coventry in the FA Cup? I know you've been down and back up again, so it hasn't always been, always the best squads to deal with it. But for a club your size with the heritage you got, you might expect you to feature in more finals and certainly more semis than you have been.
No, yeah, I think the issue we've always had with the cup is we always play such a weak team. Like we did it against Wrexham, and it was so embarrassing, that game. But I'm a massive sucker for the FA Cup. I love it. I always want to do well. So I actually really hope we win on Saturday. If we do lose, I'll be a little bit gutted because I do love the cup. I love going far. Look at last season, for example. All I want is a Prem away day. Give me like Villa away or something, and I'll be proper up for it. So if we get knocked out by Prem away day, that'd be nice. If we get knocked out by Sheffield Wednesday, I wouldn't be too surprised with the way we're playing this season. And fair play to them, they've sorted out the away end, so the atmosphere should be there. They'll be louder than us because I don't think there'll be a lot of Cov fans there, to be honest.
I don't imagine. Well, the ticket prices, have they sorted that out? Is it a decent?
Yeah, 13 quid for adults.
Right, well done.
Yeah,
right.
7 quid for my son.
Well done, Doug.
Well done, Doug. Right, and next week then we're talking about the December Player of the Month, and we're also looking ahead to Coventry's January fixtures. So join us for that when Ben and Jay will be back. We'll be back as well. Thank you, Scott, and thank you, Tom, very much for joining us. Just a reminder, if you haven't yet subscribed, we want to hit 250, hopefully by the end of the month. So if you can help us do that, it'd be massively, massively appreciated. Enjoy the Sheffield Wednesday game. Thank you for reviewing the horror that has been some of those Christmas fixtures with us.
We're not over it.
No, never will be.
We'll send Tom off to bed for a lemsip as well. I know you're struggling with a cold. Thank you very much for joining us. Have a great week, everyone. See you next week.